بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. قال الإمام أبو داود رحمه الله تعالى في كتابه السنن: باب الإجابة أية ساعة هي في يوم الجمعة. حدثنا أحمد بن صالح قال حدثنا ابن وهب قال أخبرني عمرو يعني بن الحارث أن الجلاح مولى عبد العزيز حدثه أن أبا سلمة يعني بن عبد الرحمن حدثه عن جابر بن عبد الله عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه قال: يوم الجمعة 12 يريد ساعة لا يوجد مسلم يسأل الله شيئا إلا أتاه الله عز وجل فالتمسوها آخر ساعة بعد العصر. حدثنا أحمد بن صالح قال حدثنا ابن وهب قال أخبرني مخرمة يعني ابن بكير عن أبيه عن أبي بردة بن أبي موسى الأشعري قال لي عبد الله بن عمر: أسمعت أباك يحدث عن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في شأن الجمعة يعني الساعة؟ قال: قلت نعم، سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول: هي ما بين أن يجلس الإمام إلى أن تقضى الصلاة. قال أبو داود يعني على المنبر. In the Sunan Abi Dawud, we're still reading from the chapter of Jumu'ah, the book of Jumu'ah. Last class that we did, we spoke on one of the greatest virtues of Jumu'ah, which are many, countless. But one of the greatest virtues of the day of Jumu'ah is that which is known as Sa'atul Ijabah. Sa'atul Ijabah. That hour, that golden hour, in which any Muslim who asks Allah for anything, Allah will grant that Muslim what he asks. Sa'atul Ijabah. So the next chapter, Imam Abu Dawud rahimahullah ta'ala, he speaks on which hour is it. We know that there is 1 hour, one period of time where there's 60 minutes more or less, and which is highly recommended for the Muslim to ask Allah and to beg Allah on Jumu'ah. Now, when is that hour? And this only makes sense. Encourage someone to do something. You tell someone, you explain to someone the beauty of a thing, the virtue of a thing. The next step on anyone's mind who's discerned has to be, how do I get it now? What's the practical way of going to Jannah? What's the practical way of making money? You told me about the importance of money. How good it feels to have your own money. Not to have to beg or to ask, but to have what you want, what you need, whenever. Okay, how do I get that money? When do I start? What do I have to do, etc. So Imam Abu Dawud rahimahullah, he says, when is the hour on the day of Jumu'ah? And there are two hadiths. The first hadith that he mentions in the chapter is related by Jabir radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, that states that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the day of Jumu'ah is of 12 hours. Thinta ashrata. He says 12 hours. And is whenever a Muslim asks Allah for something, Allah will give him what he asks for, the Mighty and the Most High. فَالْتَمِسُوهَا. So therefore, look for the hour. He says, آخِرَ سَاعَةٍ بَعْدَ الْعَصْرِ. The last available hour after Asr. Asr time comes in, the Asr prayer is made, the last hour of Asr, meaning before Maghrib. That's what this one narration states. And of course, Imam Abu Dawud rahimahullah ta'ala, all of the hadiths in his book, he himself did not stipulate that they are authentic. Rather, it's a collection. It's a collection of the most famous and the most popular and the most authentic hadiths. But it doesn't mean that every single hadith is authentic and genuine according to Imam Abu Dawud rahimahullah. And there's a great deal of discussion with regards to the hadiths concerning when is Sa'atul Ijabah. Hadith number 2 is reported by Abu Burda, the son of Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiallahu anhu. So Abu Burda, he said, I asked Abdullah ibn Umar, I asked him one day, or Abdullah ibn Umar, he asked Abu Burda. He says, did you ever hear your father saying anything about Sa'atul Ijabah? When is Sa'atul Ijabah? So Abu Burda, he said, yes. I heard my father who said, I heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam who said. And the hadith states, is that the hour of Ijabah is the time between the Imam sitting down and the prayer being established. The Imam sitting and the prayer being finished, meaning upon the minbar. That is when Sa'atul Ijabah is. So these are two hadiths here which give a time frame of when Sa'atul Ijabah is. The first hadith states the last hour of Asr, meaning right before Maghrib. And the second narration states is that it's not that late. Rather, the Imam comes in, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, he makes the salams, the Mu'adhin makes the adhan, and the Imam sits. From the Imam sitting until the Imam standing up for the first khutbah, sitting down again for the second khutbah, making the iqamah, finishing the prayer. Once the prayer is done, that time frame is Sa'atul Ijabah. Whether that's 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 25 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, depending on how long the Imam's khutbah is and how long his salah is. And of course, the length of the khutbah and the length of the salah, that's a discussion, and that'll come later on in the book. How long the khutbah should be and how long the prayer should be. What's important is, as we mentioned before, these are two hadiths. The scholars of Islam, they differ on when is Sa'atul Ijabah. Some say it's unknown. Some say it's the last hour before Maghrib. Some say, as the narration of Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, when the Imam sits until the prayer is finished, etc. Similar to what? It's similar to something else in Islam. It's very popular, famous, and virtuous.
Last 10 nights.
Laylatul Qadr. When is Laylatul Qadr? Only during the last 10? Okay, Laylatul Qadr be in the first 10 or the second 10. Does Laylatul Qadr remain in the last 10 every year, or does it fluctuate? Is Laylatul Qadr only on the odd last 10? Is it the 27th, etc.? So the point is that a Muslim should be hungry. Period. Don't be slacks. Don't be lax. Don't just sit back and it's the 27th. It's the 28th. Sa'atul Ijabah is only this time. Make dua the entire day of Jumu'ah. The dua that you make verbally. Oh Allah, guide my children. Oh Allah, heal my sick grandmother. Oh Allah, forgive me of my sins. Oh Allah, allow my immigration papers. Whatever that you need of the dunya and of the deen. Of good, of khair. As long as it's positive. Then you also make dua to Allah Azza wa Jal through your actions. That's what you're asking Allah for. And some things that you ask Allah for is seeking His rizq, seeking Allah's bounty. And from seeking Allah's bounty is going out to work, physically getting up and working, etc. Dua al-ibadah and dua al-mas'ala. So therefore, never become complacent. Always remain hungry as a Muslim, because you never know when Sa'atul Ijabah is. And another benefit we learn from this is being wary and being careful of oppressing someone, period, let alone on Jumu'ah, because you don't know when Sa'atul Ijabah is. You may curse out a Muslim or a non-Muslim, oppressing anybody. Hit them, strike them, do something to them, take their money, violate them, etc. And they may raise their hands on that day. And that dua may fall upon you on that day. So that's something that's very important to be mindful of. These two hadiths, they show us, first and foremost, how the companions were eager to learn about the sunnah and to spread it to others. And this hadith shows us how the companions learned from each other. They asked about what the Prophet had said, proving that the sunnah was important in the time of the Sahaba. And the sunnah did not become important only 200 years later, or 250 years later, or during the time of Imam Shafi'i. The sunnah was always important. The sunnah was the salvation for the companions. And this hadith also goes to show us, once again, the virtue of Sa'atul Ijabah. And it shows us some of the opinions of those who state when it is. And this hadith also goes to show the validity and the legality of a minbar. And the minbar is from the deen and is from the sunnah. And this hadith also shows us is that the imam should sit down. And the sunnah is for the imam to sit down before the khutbah starts. Now the person may ask a question. Why does the imam come in, give the salams and sit down without making 2 rak'ah? Doesn't the Prophet ﷺ tell us, whenever you come into the masjid, make 2 rak'ah before you sit down? Isn't that the sunnah? Didn't the Prophet ﷺ stop his khutbah to ask the man, did you pray? Stand up and pray in the middle of the khutbah. But why does the imam come in and not make 2 rak'ah before he sits down upon the minbar? Ever ask yourself that question? He walks right in and he sits right down. We're not going to answer that question right now. Allah surely knows best. You guys think about it, in the night ta'ala. Let's see if we have any questions online that we can answer. And Allah surely knows best.